Hello everybody, it's Devin Valencia with BCM Pros. Today I'm going to try something a little different. We are going to do a ServiceNow BCM speedrun. So we're going to see how fast we can go from getting impact analysis completed, to getting a plan developed, to exercising that plan, and then eventually activating it for crisis. So we'll see how far we get. I might break this up into a couple videos so it's more digestible, but I want to do this to kind of show you the updated version of the BCM workspace. So I think it's very helpful for everyone to see it, and there's not a whole lot of content on it. So let's get started. All right, we'll switch over to my main screen. All right, let's get a little timer pulled up here. Okay, so we're going to start with the basics here. I am a BCM user. One more thing I do want to call out before we start the speedrun is kind of the use case that we're supporting here, right? Think of it from a BCM manager's perspective and from the process owner's perspective. You get a tap on the shoulder, an email in your inbox that says, hey, you are the owner of this application. You own this or this process. You need to develop an impact analysis. You need to develop a DR plan. You got to do something, right? So think of it from that perspective. I am just someone who is foreign to ServiceNow entirely, and I've just been told on top of my current job, I also need to now develop this plan or be involved in it at the very least. So that's the kind of context I wanted to give you there. All right, with all that said, we're going to start the timer, and I will give commentary as best I can as we go through it. All right, timer started. So I am going in here, creating my BIA. I said BIA for some process, we'll say. And we'll set up a BIA, and then we'll choose which process we want to do a BIA for. We'll do business process. We won't set up a lead. We don't need it right now. We can go into that at a later point, but I want to give you the bare bones basics. We see, oh, okay, I'm in the draft mode. Let me get started. All right, here are my form details. I can add work notes if I need to, right? If you want to, you don't have to do it that way because it's already, in a draft state. But the main part that you're going to come into is the assessments. So let's say I am an owner of this process, and now I need to help develop a RTO. So probably should have included less questions, but I want to give it a real time, kind of a real example here. And so what I'll do is I will set my responses here. So how long can this process be unavailable before there's a financial loss greater than 20 million? We'll say 72 hours. Actually, no, I apologize. It's shorter, sorry. All right, because, and I'll explain that in a later video. How long can, before we have 20 million to 40 million, bad time. It's a bad day. We'll say 2 hours, right? And you'll notice you kind of want to order these RTO questions in a way where the user can answer them in sequence, kind of like intuitive to their understanding of loss, right? So what I mean is it put the least amount of loss as the first question and the most amount of loss as the last question. And that'll make more sense as we kind of go into videos about how to set up an RTO correctly within the application. All right, so how long till I hit 40 to 60? Also a horrible day. How long till I hit 24? How long until I hit greater than 80 or 85 million? I should have 60 there. It's going to be probably like 24 hours. If I'm down for more than 24 hours, let's say that. Technically, you could have the same response twice, but we'll say if I'm down for 2 days, we are going to lose a lot of money. One thing I'll call out is you'll notice that the recovery time on the BIA is 48 hours. And the reason why is we have determined that this particular loss is critical, severe, whatever you want to call it. Everyone calls it something different. Severe, critical, life-changing. But we cannot hit that time frame, right? So any plan we develop, we want to make sure that we are, able to restore services in less than 48 hours, 48 hours maximum. So I kind of call that out. And what you'll notice is that, for each of these categories, if I answer a lower time frame for any other critical, severe, issue or loss, then if it's shorter than 48 hours, it will actually, the RTO will change to that, right? So I'll show you what I mean. So let's say, hey, how long can this service or application be down before it's bad for morale? 1 hour. How bad is it before we breach contracts? 8 hours. Maybe we have some SLAs. And say, oh, well, how bad before we start getting sued? We'll say 24 hours. And you'll notice that the RTO changes to 24 hours. All right, enough tutorial talk. Let's go into it. So I'll just keep going here. We'll do that. And I'm just going to keep this at 24. I don't want to mess with the RTO. I'm just a guy doing, or girl doing my RTO assessment here. All right, here we go. I can add notes if I want to. Hey, not sure if I did this correctly, right? Let's just say, you're someone that's not familiar with it. Let's go back to, I think we said 24 hours, right? All right, cool. All right, so you'll see 4 out of 4 complete, 24 hours, all right? I'm in my BIA. Awesome. Now I need to identify which items does my business process or application, if you're doing a BIA for an application, which items does it depend on, right? Which applications do I depend on? Which software do I depend on? Vendors, blah, 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 blah. So I will go ahead and let's just add Acrobat for fun. All right, and then let's say, okay, I depend on Acrobat. I use it to do thing. Okay, cool. Speed run is going up in time. Let's keep this moving. All right, what is my expected RTO, right? So if I'm dependent on this application, how soon do I need to be back up if it's ever, down? Let's say, or I guess there's different ways to interpret that, but that's just a simple version. All right, let's say 48 hours, great. And then we're all good. You can identify an RPO as well, right? How often should data be backed up and how much data, what is the maximum amount of data you can lose, right? We won't go into that today, but we'll go ahead and just add some stuff here. All right, you'll notice that this one got marked complete, but it's adding the resource. But you could add pieces here that require you to answer, what the RTO should be on your asset. Go ahead and add something here, and we'll go here. Okay, cool. All right, so let's say I'm all done here. I have nothing to add for these other sources, and I'm good. Mark complete. Go up here. All right, we see that all 9 are now completed, and now we should go over here. All right, so then we're gonna say, hey, I got all of my assessments completed. I got all my dependency assessments completed. This could take some time and may even require that you have contributors, but we won't go into that today. All right, we see, hey, we have an RTO, we have a recovery tier, which I'll go into after, which is critical, right? The tier, not critical, but it's a critical functionality. And that makes more sense if you're familiar with BCM as a program, but we'll go into that after. So we'll submit for approval. We'll say, great. Approvals, okay. I need a BCM admin to review first. They've requested to be reviewed or to review it. So I go, hey, let me go get the BCM admin review and then the BCM program manager. So I'm actually going to pause the timer because this is just the approval part, and then we'll come back after everything's approved. So let me go ahead and pause that, and we'll be right back. All right, I'm back as the BCM admin. I'm BCM admin. We'll keep the timer going. Now I'm the admin. All right, I'm the admin. I need to go approve a plan. Well, what do? There's a couple ways to get to it. I think the most intuitive way is to go to your tasks. Say, hey, I have some approvals I got to go look at. All right, here's the BIA. Let's go check out the details. Okay, everything looks there. It looks great. Looks good. I love it. Oh, wow, look at it. Look at that beautiful assessment. Oh, it's so easy to read. I love it. It makes my life so much easier. Isn't this so much better than a spreadsheet or some very outdated interface? Cool. All right, so let me go ahead and approve. So I'll go into my approvals tab. Say, hey, I like it. Looks good. Love what you did here. Great stuff. Too bad I can't type. So I'll go ahead and say, and post a comment. You notice that the comment already got put on there. All right, and we're going to pause the timer and go back into the plan or the BIA. So 1 second here. All right, I'm a BCM user again, and I'm back in my BIA, and I have both my manager and the admin approve. You typically wouldn't see a BCM admin approving anything, right? These are people that are supporting the application. You don't usually see that, but you might have like a BCM group or BCM team, and then maybe like, the process owner's like business unit head. There's a couple ways you can organize it. Everyone does it a little different, but we can see that we have an approved BIA. So let us move into developing a plan, the meat and potatoes, I would say, besides the dependency assessments. I think it's all meat and potatoes. All right, so we're creating a plan. All right, so plan, we'll say, we'll do a DR plan. No, let's do BCP plan. BCP, some process. All right, because it's a business application or a business process. Anyway, so we're going to do continuity plan, right? There's some other templates, but these are just for really reporting purposes. Functionally speaking, they don't really do much. Obviously, they can, be enhanced to do things. But anyways, so what's the main thing we have to do first? Hey, we have to make sure our business process is scoped in here. So let's go ahead and open our business process. I think we said it's called some name. Wait, what did I call it? Some process. What did I call it? I'm going to lose so much time on this one. Got to go for the high score next time. Sub. Oh, I think it's like some business process. What did I call it? Oh, you know what? I think I know what I called it. I think it was this one. Pretty sure it was this one. All right, cool. Yep. There we go. We scoped in our business process. We see that has an RTO, has a recovery tier, has a BIA associated with it. What's really awesome is that it will pull in the dependencies that you mapped into it, which is a huge part, right? If you've ever done it with through spreadsheets, giant pain in the butt. But with the newer version, you have to update dependencies. There's a whole reason for it. It could be automated. I'm really surprised it's not out of box. Kind of surprising to me because it is in other places. So, but just a strange choice. It's mostly because of this snapshot piece, right? So we'll go into a later point. Not relevant when you're first setting up a plan, but let's say you have your CMDB and you have this business process and you have service mapping set up, and service mapping is updated to include some other dependency. Then it'll bring it in as a related asset over here. Additionally, there's also another use case where, hey, my BIA was updated and I need to pull in the most updated dependencies. You can also hit that button again and it'll give you those latest updates. And then that snapshot is really the process management piece related to, hey, which do I approve of these additional dependencies being added? Yada, yada. We'll go into that later. We don't have to worry about that right now. All right, cool. So we have some related plan just because I've been messing around with this process a lot, but we don't have to worry about it right now. The main piece is the run book, so recovery task, whatever you want to call it. I think Fusion Framework calls it process steps, if I remember correctly. Yep, process steps. And then RPX Planner calls it something else, and yada, yada. Everyone calls it something different. But recovery tasks, right? These are the steps that you have to go through to actually be able to get your service, your business process or application up and running. So who's got to do what, when, where, how, where, why. A couple ways to do it. I'll get kind of granular with mine. We'll go into, you want to map it to each of the law scenarios. This is a more granular way. I don't actually see a lot of people use it this way as much. Surprisingly, I usually see it kind of just, right on the plan here. But I think the intention is to, have your assets related directly to the law scenario. This one, and I think part of the big reason why this doesn't really work as well, it's fine, but, it says, hey, add your related asset dependencies. But then it says, go look at the entire CMDB, which to me, it's always made more sense to kind of not do that because it kind of undermines the whole BIA process of, why am I mapping dependencies to an impact analysis if I can just add them later on to my plan, kind of ad hoc. Maybe it's for flexibility. Not sure why. Here it is though. All right. So then we have our app. Say, hey, for this app, if there's a loss of application, you can say Flood strategy. This is one way to do it. But you can say, you know, we'll just say recover apps. All right, and which dependencies are covered? Well, the one we mapped in. Estimated time to implement. Well, hopefully it's less than our RTO because we need it to be. And then we say here. All right, we lost some time in timer. Got distracted. Okay, so then we go over here and we do the maximum duration of use. This is actually really interesting. Duration of use and time to implement are different. And I can explain as we get into crisis. But essentially one says, hey, what is the time it's going to take from the start of this, you know, strategy to the end, right? How long is it going to take? And this one says for each step, for all the steps it takes to, you know, to implement, you know, what is the total amount of time it'll take for each of those steps? And the reason why those might be different is you might start a recovery strategy. You might, you know, start using a plan, which will start like the timer on the duration of use piece here. But it might take a while for some of those tasks to be picked up or to be completed. And then for the next one, it's really like gaps, the gap in between tasks, I would say. The total of each of the task times plus the gaps in between, whereas this one is just the total of each task time. I think it's the simplest way to explain it. Anyways, so we're gonna go here. We'll say 48 hours. It's fine. Right. So maybe there's a lot of gaps there, and we kind of expect a 50% uptime again. All right. So we'll go ahead and save. All right. We'll go do our recovery tasks, and we'll do task one. Bada bing, boom. Go back over here. It'll show up after task two. I'm just really doing some dummy stuff here so you guys can see. All right, cool. I got my recovery tasks. Great. Going back to my plan. And ideally, I would set one up for each of these loss, you know, for each type of related asset I have. Right. I want to make sure that I have a recovery strategy developed for each. And you could do relate to loss scenarios. Again, there's different ways to organize loss scenarios. Literally everyone does it different, but you know, you could say, hey, loss of this type of element or this type of asset, and then you could say, you know, you could do recovery strategies for different scenarios. It's kind of different. Everyone, again, it's very flexible, and that's how it's supposed to be, right? So, all right, we'll go ahead and submit this approval and then get that going. But I think, you know what I'll do? I'm going to stop it here. I'm going to stop at 15 minutes, 16 minutes, we'll say. And that is the speed run from getting from BIA to plan. 15, right? This part could take a long time, you know, obviously because you have some process and you may not be at a point where you have like an available service mapping. So you kind of have to identify each of these elements, you know, manually. But what's really great about this is that, you know, you can actually start to, in a way, develop a service mapping based off the data here. But, you know, it depends on what level of maturity your CMDB is at, where your discovery program's at. So that's something we also help with as well. Cool. All right. That is the speed run. Sorry it took so long. Obviously, there's a lot to it. And, you know, we'll have to keep working at it so you guys can see what the whole process looks like. But we'll stop it at 16 minutes and we will keep going on the next one. Thanks for watching and stay resilient.